Okay, hello there. This is lesson 1.11, and the learning goal of this lesson is to be able to multiply a decimal by a whole number using an area model. Okay, an area model, you may be familiar with it from 3rd or 4th grade, and we're going to see today how it applies to decimals. Now, because I wasn't there in class today to teach this lesson, I would like you to please take out your math notebook and take notes along with watching this video. Okay, so in the upper left-hand corner over here, we have two math problems. We have 3 times 2/10 and 4 times 3/10. We're going to first see how we can use the place value chart to model these multiplication problems. So, of course, if I have the ones place and the tens place, the decimal point goes right in between them. And in the first problem, I have 2/10. So I'm going to go ahead and draw 2 discs in the tenths column. Go ahead and take a moment to do that in your math notebook as well. Then, my problem tells me I need to make 3 copies of that. So I'm going to make 1 copy, 2 copies, and 3 copies now. Altogether, I have 3 sets of the 2/10. So if I count them all together, I can see that I have 6/10, otherwise known as 0.6. Now similarly, in my second problem, I have 3/10. So I'm going to start by drawing 3 discs in my tenths column. And it tells me I need to make 4 copies of that. So I currently have 1 copy. There's 2 copies, 3 copies, and 4 copies. Now if I count up all my tenths, altogether I have 12 tenths. I know that 10 of those tenths can be regrouped and traded for 1/1. So now if I look at it all together, I have 1/1 and 2/10. So that's 1/1 and 2/10. Another name for that was 12/10, which is what I had before I regrouped, but the standard form is 1 and 2/10. Now let's take a look at this problem. I have 0 ones, 4/10, and 3/100. So I have 0 ones, I don't need to draw anything there. I have 4/10, I'll draw 4 discs, and 3/100, 3 discs in the hundredths column. Now the problem tells me I need to make 2 copies of that. So I currently have 1 copy. Now I'm going to make a second copy. So another 4/10 and another 3/100. Looking at what I have all together, I have 8/10 and 6/100. Of course, the decimal point goes there. And so that's my answer, 86/100. But let's take a look and see how we can use an area model to model this as well. Okay, so area model, all I need to do is draw a little box, and I'm dividing up my number into the tenths part. So I have 4/10 and then 3/100. I'm multiplying that by 2, which is the number I've written over here. Now in this box, if the area of this box, the dimensions are 4/10 over here by 2 over here. So to find the area, I would have to do 4/10, 4/10 times 2. And that, of course, is 8/10. Now if I want to find the area of this part of the rectangle, I know that the length over here is 3/100, and the length over here is 2, so I have to multiply that by 2. 3/100 times 2 is 6/100. So by finding the area of each section of this rectangle, I can see that the total area, I would have to add it up, is 8/10 plus 6/100. In standard form, that would be 8/10 and 6/100. So my final answer is 86/100. Let's try that again with this problem, but instead of using the place value chart first, let's go ahead and make an area model. So I'm going to draw a rectangle, and I can see that this number has tenths, hundredths, and thousands. It has a tenths place, it has a hundredths place, and a thousandths. So I'm going to split my rectangle into 3 sections. Now, at the top, I know I have 4/10, I have 2/100, and finally I have 3/1000. Okay, now I'm multiplying that all by 2. So to find the area of this first section, I have to do the length times the width. That's 4/10 times 2, which is then 8/10. Okay, for the second section, my length is 2/100, and I'm also multiplying that by 2 to find the area. So 2/100 times 2 is 4/100. Finally, my third section, the length is 3 thousandths. And I need to multiply that by the length, which is 2. So 3 thousandths times 2 is 6 thousandths. To find the total area, I need to add all that up. So I have 8 tenths, 4 hundredths, and 6 thousandths. So my final answer should be 846 thousandths. Now let's check in with the place value method to see if it turns out the same. Okay, so I need to draw my discs. I have 4 tenths, 4 discs in the tenths column, 2 hundredths, and 3 thousandths. Now it says I need to make 2 copies of that, so I'm going to make one more copy. 4 tenths, 2 hundredths, and 3 thousandths. All together I can see I have 8 tenths, 4 hundredths, and 6 thousandths. The decimal point goes between the ones and the tenths, and I don't have any ones, and I can see that my answer matches up. Go ahead and try this problem on your own. 6 times 1 and 21 hundredths. Do this in your math notebook, and we'll talk about it tomorrow in class. Try using an area model and double checking it with the place value chart. Thanks.